Could I move on to another, our next speaker, who is from Christian Aid, who's one of the members of the consortium. So, and you'll have to excuse me in my pronunciation, I'm still struggling with English. Salome Ntububa, who is the Regional Emergency Manager for Central and Southern Africa. She's presently based in Goma, and what I'm particularly looking forward to in her presentation, she's what I would consider a non-mediated voice. This is somebody from the region who works and lives in the region who is going to share her story, her experiences with us. Thank you, Salome.
Thank you very much. Before to start my speak, I would like to thank very much the member of the Irish Consortium on Gender-Based Violence. I thank you very much for the work we are doing here, for the joint work we are doing here to champion the issue of gender inequality and then to challenge the gender-based violence, not only in Ireland, but everywhere in the world. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you also to having me here to talk about this topic, because this topic is very close to my heart. It's affecting myself. It's a day-to-day reality of many women and children in my country, and then it's a big concern for the whole Congolese population. Thank you to have this time to enlighten this topic, really. It's very, very important for us as Congolese, and then for every woman and children also. So I like to encourage really the gender-based violence consortium here in Ireland to continue to keep the momentum on these issues, to continue to amplify its voice, to work together, to join efforts so that we can see peace really in the Democratic Republic of Congo. As you can see in this documentary, this is a reality in the Democratic Republic of Congo. It's not a film, it's not a documentary, but it's the real reality that is happening on the ground. So today, for me, it's also a privilege to celebrate the women of Congo and the children of Congo, because I know that they have a courage. They are really the leaders, these women that, even if they are affected by sexual violence, but they're still really leaders. And then they are really resilient to this is happening. It's quite a man-made disaster in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And then these women and children, they are really resilient. So it's an opportunity for me to thank them for this event here in Dublin. So today, we're gonna just talk about the DRC context, what the context in DRC. The sexual gender-based violence is a strategy of the war. You already see it in the film. And then what we are doing really, Christian Aid on the ground with our local partners, women association, local NGOs, what they are doing in this context, what their response, how they are responding on this context, and then the challenge that we have, not as Christian Aid, but others, NGOs, they face the same challenges on the ground, and then some recommendation. So the Democratic Republic of Congo is quite a big country. It used to be the third in Africa, but when the Sudan was split in two, it's the second big country in Africa, and then it's a massive country in the Central Africa. The Congo is a home or household for the important natural resources in the world, I can say. We have the big forests. The second said African forest is in Congo. Abundance mineral. In Congo we have gold, we have diamond, we have coltan, we have copper, plenty of minerals. In Congo, we have the big rivers. The water is very important for the energy. But unfortunately, Congo is the most poorest country in the world. It's ranked 186 out of 187 countries in the 2030 Human Development Report, unfortunately. And Congo, in the past 20 years, was suffering from the cycle of conflict. It's a continual conflict in the Congo. So as you can say, the consequence is this kind of sexual violence that is happening on the ground. Currently now in Congo, we have about 2,700 people who are internally displaced. And then many of them, they are located in the east part of Congo, Goma, Bukavu, and then the village around. So many people, they are not home. And that is, they are not only displaced once, but it's many times, as Mary Robinson said. And then when they are displaced, there are these all consequences. And then since this war, I can say that because the cycle of war, from data for the second big war, we call it the RCD war in 1998, we talk about 5 or 6 million of people who were directly killed through the, because of the conflict, or indirectly because of this conflict. They could not access to medicine, they could not access to food, to water, and then this was our consequences about this war. And then 6 million of people, they are in emergency need assistance. So they need food, they need water. It's not only internal displaced people, but they are the one also who welcome this population, the host family. They are also the one who return, because sometimes they return home, and then after another time they have to flee again. So it's quite a cycle of violence. So the sexual violence is like a big consequence of this bad situation that's happening in the Congo. And then you used to say that the sexual violence is weapon of war. I can say the film showed that how the sexual violence is really a weapon of war. And then if you can consider, for example, it's not only in the Congo, back, for example, to the Rwanda genocide, it used to be the same. So they kill people. But before they kill people, they was rape them. We have the data, for example, how many people was killed during the Rwanda genocide, but we don't know how many women and children was raped during the Rwanda genocide. If you go back to Sudan, 2005, it used to be the same. But in most of the cases, when we're talking about the bad situation, we see the number of people was killed, but we don't talk about the number of women and children who was raped. So again, it's quite linked. When there is a big conflict, there is a big war, most of the time we have women who are really affected by the sexual violence. So for us, the body of the women is becoming a battlefield. In this context, many of men, they are joined the rebellion movement. So they are died. Some of them, they are just migrate. Some of them, men, they are not there. You can see the affected community. Many of them, they are women, and then they are children. And then now when they found that in the community are only men and children, they can kill them, but before to kill them, they just rape them. I don't know. Before in the past, they said they will kill you. But now, for example, when he meets a rebel, he'll say that I will rape you. It's changed totally. So the first message he said, I will rape you. If you need to steal something, to loot something, the first message, I need to rape you. Or he go for the children, because you know that the mama, they are just attached for the children, they're starting to rape a child. And then it's changed totally the context. It was used to be the battle of, army group on the front line, but now it's not army group on the front line, it's children and women on the front line. So the body of women is becoming really a battlefield. It's unbelievable. So in the community, for example, in terms of discrimination, these people, they are discriminate in other communities. So the way to express this discrimination is just to go and then rape women or children. So for them, it's quite a tactic to frustrate the communities, to punish a community, to intimidate, to divide the community, to get control on the communities. So really rape is becoming a tactic of the war. So again, according to the statistic, as I say, for the sexual violence, we don't have really a data collection statistic. For example, in the Mary Robinson speech, we talk about 16,000 women who was being raped last year in the Democratic Republic of Congo. But if you talk, for example, with Dr. Mukwege, will tell you, for example, there are 1,000 people who are raping every day in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So according to our experience, as Christian Aid, we are working in the small villages, and then per month, we have more than 100 women who are coming for help per month. So you can imagine that it is massive. It's very, very widespread phenomenon that is happening. And then no despair, you can find a small baby to the old baby. So it's quite really a weapon of war because it doesn't choose which category of women, but is everybody. So again, when this conflict settle in the communities, so the normal protection, security mechanism does not exist anymore. So it's the perpetrator who have power, and then the impunity is just settled in the communities. And then is impact again on the sexual violence. Because in the normal situation, we have, for example, militaries, policy, legal system, but in this context, the conflict context, we don't have this institution. It doesn't exist at all. So again, this is a system who perpetuates, again, the sexual violence in the community. So talking about the causes, as I say, conflict themselves is an underlying causes, but we still have, compared to the context in the Congo, the main causes for us is about power. Power in terms of control of these resources. I need to get access to these resources, this militia. So they are looking for the power. And then these patriarchal issues, men and women. As I say, you can find that the survivor of sexual violence, they are mainly women and children. There are few cases of men, but again, all perpetrators, they are men. So I can say that there is like an imbalance between power relationship in the society, in the communities, and then when they are now engaged on the conflict, they have again more power because they have these guns, or they are more violated. So we have this, really the key driver of the gender-based violence is about power. It's about the patriarchal in the communities, what is happening in the communities. When women, for example, there's an expression in my local language, when I need to humiliate you, the word that I'll use is just to be, I can say, for example, is I need to relating for the sex of your mom. It's just to humiliate. You can see that it's quite a thing that is linked to the cultural behavior of people and the power issue again inside, and then the women, they are really nothing in the communities. So again, we have the power governance. There is a conflict, but again, there is a power governance. We'll see it later. For example, the military, the policy, the legal system, who need to protect people, but they are not there. The state is not representative anywhere in the communities. So again, it puts women and children at risk because there is not a governance issue at all. There is no state present in many villages in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And then the lack of education. There was an example in the documentary. A military, they just bring any training. They give him gang, and then they say we can rape so that we can be more strong. You know, is lack of education in this group. So there are many, many causes of the sexual violence in the Democratic Republic of Congo, but they are all linked. And then you can see, for example, the spread of the army group. You are lucky, a few weeks ago, there was a big army group they call M23, and thanks for the all UN and international communities and the Congo government, because they are able to put out this M23 rebel, but we still have, there are more than 50 rebel group, so we still have 49 again around this environment. So it's quite a big issue, complicated, but we think that, yes, we can do something on this context. And now, when the sexual violence is happening, I can say that, yes, there is many. It's a big disaster, I say. It's a big disaster. Physically, it's an assault. This women massacre, I can show you, for example, have beating, cutting, killing. People, they are dying. And it's not only about physical, but again, it's about sexual reproductive. Because when it's happening, most of the time, I talk to many women, they say that this is happening during their fertile period. So luckily, they were pregnant. For the small girls, it's very complicated. For women who are married, it's again complicated, because when they are pregnant, the husband says, I don't know, the child is for who? Or just when she will grow up, if she doesn't look as others, go away with your child. So it's quite a big problem in the communities. And at the psychosocial level, is quite depressive. I can imagine after rape, physically you cannot do anything, sexual reproductive, maybe you are pregnant, how can you sleep? What thought will you have? Most of the time people, they said, I wish I could die. So it's quite a big panic during this time, during this period, and that's why you need really people around. And then you need people around. Sometimes your husband said that, I don't like you again, so you are alone in your corner. So it's quite a very difficult situation. And then you know that people in many villages, they are surviving day to day. So they need, for example, to go to the farmer to find food. At during time, you are afraid, maybe for more than 6 months. You cannot do anything. And then for women, those that don't know anything, that cannot go to find food, their children, they are there. So it's quite a social and economic problem in the house, in the situation of sexual violence. So it's quite a big problem, not only for the women, but for their family, for their community as well. It's affecting really the whole environment of women. And that is becoming a very, very disaster. So as Christian Aid and others NGOs that are here, we are working, not ourselves in the field, but we are working with the local women organization. And then this local women organization, they are called SARCAF, and we have funds from Irish Aid. And then SARCAF is called in French Service d'accompagnement et de renforcement des capacités d'autopromotion de la femme. So it used to be an organization who was focused on leadership, because the issue also of sexual violence, as I say, is cultural issues. So how we can empower women so that they can be more powerful in their communities and challenging this problem, their environment. So SARCAF is like they're a small group of women in the communities. And then where they are working together in terms of give them empowerment, but also to address the issue of HIV. But HIV is very, very a big problem. Yes, the gender-based violence is one who drives the HIV, but again, lack of education, lack of medical assistance, HIV is a big problem in our environment. And then, of course, the gender-based violence. And then since 2004, SARCAF was really involved on these issues. And in 2004, it was the time where massive rape happening in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So in our program, we are trying to address the root causes and the effects. So in terms of root causes, you are trying to address the prevention areas. And then on the effect, you are trying to respond directly when the rape is happening. So we are giving the psychosocial support through SARCAF. We are giving the financial support. We are referring these women to the medical assistance. And if possible, we are supporting the legal process. And in terms of prevention, to address the root causes, so you are training partners. So the local partners with who SARCAF working with, they are the local governments or the traditional government, because many of the time does not exist, so the local one was still there. We address the civil protection, and then also we are training on human rights. And one is very, very important also is awareness, because there is the behavior that we need to change in the communities. If, for example, from the film, a man said that, I can rape in 50 women. So they need to know what is happening. Rape is good, but for him also, rape 50 women, what does it mean? It can be your sister, it can be your mother, it can be any relative. So we need also to change this behavior in the community. So in terms of psychosocial support, when there is a case of gender-based violence, the first thing is to help individually the person to understand what is happening. Because when there is a case of gender-based violence, there is not a balance at all. So we need to understand this is the situation, how I can deal on this situation. After that, we have the group counseling. The group counseling, most of the time, is to put together these all women who was affected by sexual violence, though they can talk together. They can feel that I'm not alone. This is the situation that is happening. Most of the time, the counselor also, they pass by sexual violence. There was survival of sexual violence. So bringing all together so they can understand what is happening. And then the family counseling. As I say, in case of sexual violence, you need your family around. You need your husband. You need your children. So again, how the family, they have to understand, like a family mediation, family counseling. So in terms of finance support is very, very important. Because as I said, most of the time when the women, they are raped, they are all belonging just going on. They cannot cultivate at all. So we can give them a small grant, how they can start to work again, because most of the time this rape is happening in the field, in the way to the market, how they can survive in their reduced environment. And then most of the time they are displaced also. So even if they are displaced from their original areas, how they can start to cope on their host communities. So they have some small grant. And again, it's not only to help herself, again, in their group. And then on this group, it's not only now women who was affected by sexual violence. We can link with others women, for example, who are more expert on the small trader, so they can work together in a form of solidarity. So again, give them grants, give them skills, and link them to others group who can support them. So in terms of medical, as I say most of the time, the little girl say that now they destroy me, my life is destroyed, I have disease, I have HIV/AIDS. It's quite difficult. So they need really medical assistance. That is help really people to feel again, to recover in case of sexual violence. So there is HIV counseling, but it's voluntary. And there is also the kids PAPE, that is help really. And then in terms of injuring, because sometimes they use the gun, they use anything, because it's like fighting really. And then there is cases that they can cut harm, and then you need to transfer them from the village to the general hospital in the city. So there is plenty of medical assistance. You are not doing ourselves, but we are referring to medical assistance who can give them more support. So to the legal assistance, so the legal issues are more complicated, because many of this time is happening where there is not a legal institution. But we cannot forget this aspect, because in some cases, there is not only this army group who are doing this rape. We can know these people. And then in few cases, for example, when the perpetrator is a civilian or is a military, known the communities, we really encourage the communities to stand up and then to bring the case in the courts. We don't have local case in many villages, but you can pay transport for them so that they can go in the city, and then they can starting to address these issues. In the village, because we need that people, they can be aware about the legal process. So you organize like open day, where people, they can know what is happening at the coast. What is the law? What is happening really when there is a perpetrator? So it helps also to diminish the level of violence in the communities. And then it helps also people to talk about this situation. So the legal process for us is to support and then to do more awareness and training what is happening really on the legal process. So the security aspect also is very important. Knowing that we are working on this context is more, the risk is still there. So the risk is still there every time. So we need also to work with the communities, how they can start to mobilize themselves so that they can start to think about it. For example, there is more risk going to the farmer. So how they can do, maybe going in group, or men who still in the communities, they can accompany women when they are going there. There's risk going to find water, so how they can do. There's risk in the morning, on afternoon, during the night. So there is many local strategies that they are making in their communities to reduce risk and then to improve their security. So again, it's very important when you're working on sexual violence to think about risk. Even if for us development workers, many of us face gender-based violence, and then we need to think more about the risk that we are facing in the community. So again, the capacity building is very, very important, as I said before. So we are dealing with the matter of sexual violence. People need to know what is happening in terms of gender-based violence. We are working more with military and police. We are training them together. We are bringing them, for example, to have a talk, like a workshop, civilian and military and police, so they can address these issues together. What is happening? We can change this situation. So again, this is a continual capacity building that you are offering to the community. And awareness, as I say, we need to focus to continue to amplify voice. For example, this documentary is help people to understand what's happening. For our advocacy work, we need also to collect this early information. The work they are doing in the consortium is quite very important, to link this, what is happening in Ireland, what's happening in other countries, so that people, they can be aware what is happening really everywhere in the world. And challenging, as I said before. So we still have this social, cultural behavior. So we need to tackle these issues. It's not so easier in the communities because there is women, there is this position, men, they have this position. But how we can challenge this situation? The power governance, the political issues, how working on this and then bring the political to support you in your work. So we are really tried with local NGOs, with the UN 1325 decree. So how women, they can be engaged in the political decision. I know that is not easy. For example, in the Congo, it's only on the constitution they say that it's 50%. But it's not applied like this. It's 10% women who have voice. So how, even if they are not educated, how they can have their voice at the political level? And then security and impunity. As I say, you will see maybe later, the military and the police who have to support women, who have to address the issue of gender-based violence, they are focused on their survival. They are looking for their food. They are not able to make a gender violence as a priority. So again, we have this challenge, how to put focus so that gender-based violence can be on the top priorities of the security people and for the impunity. And then we have poor services, as I said, the medical. We need the medical. But most of the time, we don't have this hospital everywhere. People, they need to travel 6 days to reach the hospital so that they can get medical assistance. So also is a big challenge. For example, HIV/AIDS. We did a HIV test. It's positive. How they can have RV, how they can continue, to examine more the level of HIV. Again, it's quite a big challenge. And then there's the poor infrastructure, as I say. There is no road. Many of these sexual violence is happening maybe at 200 kilometers. To reach this place is very, very complicated. And then, as I say, at international level, gender-based violence is still like, yes, is a big problem, human rights problem. But at which level they say that you cannot, as I said that, for example, there is 100 people who died. This is a big emergency. Everybody needs to be mobilized. You need to have all humanitarian agencies, they're responding. But when it's happening, sexual gender violence, at which level you say that is not tolerated, and then you need everybody to be engaged and to address these issues. I think that we need really the international commitment on this issue of gender-based violence. So this woman, she's Honorine, Madame Honorine. She's the colonel in Bukavu. She's the one in charge of sexual violence. She's a police, she's a colonel in police. And then she's doing a lot in the country. And then for me, I can say that, yes, there is change really. We cannot say that everything is just black, but yes, there is big change. And then this woman, since she's in charge of gender-based violence, there is an expression in the community. If they say, I will bring you to Madame Honorine, everybody will just scare. Mm-hmm. So really there is like awareness in the communities. So the name of Madame Honorine is scaring people because she is doing really a great job in the communities. But unfortunately, you can see how she's working. Resources. She still have a typewriter. How we can keep this document, this data? So it's quite a complicated. People, they are really engaged, but on the other end, they don't have enough resources to cope. So this is the house of one militarist. He's a good man, really a good man. She's making film about what is happening in the ground, but again, he doesn't have any resources. This is his house. His wife pregnant, 2 children. And she's struggling for day-to-day life. How she's living in this condition, she's doing a lot to help women, but again, she's still struggling with the day-to-day life. Bread and butter for him is a priority than protect 100 people who are raped somewhere. But he's a good guy. So it's not only all militaries who are bad, but they are good military, really who are doing the good job, but they don't have enough resources to respond. Again, as I say, infrastructure, this is the women who need to survive. Even if they are going to the forest to find firewood, they can be raped three times for them. You need to survive. No way. So again, this poor condition of living is continue to perpetuate the gender-based violence. So this is like a statement for one of our partner, Nono. She's the leader of the SARCAF. And then she said that, yes, we need much resource. As I said, we need the resource. That is very important. But we need to stop the war. I think that is a big... we need resource, we need money, but we need to stop conflict. Conflict is not good. Conflict is driving this gender sexual violence. And then I'm really, really proud to say that, yes, we see the help that we came from Ireland. Since Mary Robinson starting, you can say that in March, after 6 months, one big rebel movement ended up. So we need this big engagement from everybody in the world to stop the conflict in the world. That is very, very important. It's coming from Madame Nono. So again, we need to be more efficient, not working in isolation. We need to work together. As I said, there is many challenges getting data, getting a medical aspect, securities. You need all of them to be together. You need everybody together. In the beginning, when we're starting to, we call it the National Platform on Fighting Against Sexual Violence, it was like everybody was there. But again, after that, it's becoming a cluster system, and then it's splitting now. This they are working on medical, this they are working on psychosocial. It's quite so separate. So you need everybody together so that we can challenge these issues, as we are doing here in the Joint Consortium against sexual violence. So few recommendations. The top one, I think, is very, very important, advocacy. That is bring us together, the NAF, the SAF, everybody. So we need to continue advocacy to end this conflict. We need to push so that the national governments can be more accountable. They need to respond for their responsibility. It's for the national government to protect their population. We need to tackle sexual norm, especially for the small organizations who are working on the communities, how they can challenge the social norm. We need to engage together, men and women. That is very, very important. There is perpetrator, but they are still good men. So we need to work together with the good men. We need to champion, for example, in the army, when we have the good men, we need to champion them. And then we need to continue this comprehensive response, not working only in the response, but working also in the prevention aspect, link all of them together. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.